Hi guys, welcome back to my Safe Space Kitchen. So today I'm going to be making my herb infused coconut milk jollof rice. This jollof rice is so good. It is flavorful and it smells divine. This is the jollof rice you want to take to the cookout. This is the jollof rice you want to make for family on special occasions. This is a jollof rice that's going to keep Bay, okay? So when Bay is coming around, this is a jollof rice you're going to be making, all right? But in the meantime, if this is your first time coming across my page, this is my Safe Space Kitchen. I make cooking videos and I try to make it as fun as possible. Hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell while you're at it so you don't miss another video. Now let's get into this recipe.
Safe Space Kitchenette. Make room at the table. Come on. Safe Space Kitchenette. It's running by a recipe. Safe Space.
So here I have my partially cooked chuck beef. I cooked it because I wanted to get the broth to cook my jollof. So that is my broth. I have my extra virgin olive oil. Use whatever type of oil you have. It should work. I have my tomato paste and my tomato sauce. Whatever brand you have works perfectly. Here I have my unsweetened coconut milk. Don't get sweet coconut milk. You don't want to use sweet. Always use unsweet. I have my habanero pepper, my sweet peppers, which is the green and the red, some garlic, some onions, some ginger that we're going to be blending to use as the base to our sauce. I have my rosemary. This is fresh rosemary. I don't use dried rosemary, so I can't speak on that. And of course I have my sliced onions that we're going to be using to infuse our oil. So in my pot, I went ahead and added my oil, and I'm gonna go ahead and fry my beef. So like I said, my beef is partly cooked, so frying it will complete the cooking process for my meat. So that's all that I'm gonna be doing here. When frying your meat, you wanna make sure that you're paying attention to it because you don't want it to burn. So this is how you want it to be, right? Nice and brown and beautiful like that. You don't want it to be, burned, and that's not what we want to do. So just pay attention to it, and you will get it nicely fried. So once I'm done frying my meat, I go ahead and in that same oil, I add my rosemary and my onions, and I let this infuse with the oil until my onions are nicely caramelized like so. Once they caramelize us like so, I'm gonna go ahead and add my blended sauce. So that will be the peppers, the garlic, the ginger, the onions, and the green and red peppers. Go ahead and blend it nicely, and I pour that in here. I give my my blender a little bit of a rinse, and I pour that water into my pot as well, and I let it simmer until it is nicely, all of the water has evaporated and the oil start to pop up. So as you can see, the oils are popping up, so I go ahead and I give it a quick stir. It is now ready for me to add my tomato paste. I always add my tomato paste first because I like to make sure that I'm mixing it in really well. I like to make it a little looser, you know what I mean, because tomato paste is really thick, and if you don't mix it in really well, then it might be lumpy, right? So you want to take your time to mix it in really well and separate it and make sure it's really loose. So I like to do that first before I add my tomato sauce. So here, once I have my tomato paste nicely mixed, I go ahead and add my tomato sauce, and I give it a quick mix, and I continue to let this simmer on low heat to cook. So now that my tomato has been cooking for a little bit, as you can see, the oils are popping up, so that's an indication that it's cooking really well. I'm gonna go ahead and add my spices. So I have some salt, some homemade curry powder, some homemade all-purpose seasoning, some shrimp seasoning. I go ahead and throw all that in there, and I give it a good stir to make sure it is nice and well incorporated, and I continue to cook my stew on very, very low heat. The goal is to try to avoid any burns as much as possible, right? So as you can see, this is the heat that I'm using to cook my food. It's very low heat. So here I'm gonna go ahead and scoop some of my stew and add it to my fried beef, and just mix it with it. Remember, we're building flavors and I don't want to leave anything behind, okay? I personally don't even like super dried meat. So when you add the stew, it really helps with the flavor as well. So once that's set aside, I'm gonna go ahead and with my washed rice, I go ahead and dump all of it into my stew. So once I have all of my rice in my pot, I go ahead and I mix my rice with my sauce. Make sure that you give it a good mix. Make sure every single grain is nicely coated. This is the time that you want to do that because when the rice becomes soft, you cannot do that. So take time and make sure you're mixing it in really well, okay? So once I mix my rice and my sauce, I go ahead and add my coconut milk. I give my coconut milk container a little rinse and I add that water here as well. And then once I have that in there, I add my beef broth and I go ahead and I give this a nice mix, okay? Remember that the beef broth and the coconut milk is gonna enhance this food, okay? So when you're mixing it in, make sure you're mixing it in really well. And once that's done, I go ahead and I taste my food. Remember, the beef broth has a lot of spices in there as well, and so you taste it before you proceed, right? So now I'm adjusting my seasonings. I went ahead and added some more salt. I'm gonna go ahead and add the rest of my shrimp seasoning. If you have beef seasoning, that works as well. To this, I'm also going to be adding my homemade all-purpose seasoning. My natural seasoning has anise seed, nutmeg, cloves, saline, and the list goes on and on. So it's perfect for whatever dish that you're going to be using it for. So I went ahead and I also added some of my homemade curry seasoning as well, curry spice, curry seasoning, whatever you call it. And I'm going to go ahead and give all of that a quick mix and just make sure everything is nicely mixed in there. And yes, I taste it again. Y'all taste your food, because what you don't want, especially with jollof, because the rice might double. This is not too Jimmy, it's not gonna double crazy, but you know what I mean, right? And so when that happens and your seasonings are not nicely balanced, then you've ruined a good food, right? So just taste it and just adjust it, so that you have good food, okay? So I go ahead and line it up with my parchment paper and I let it cook for about 30 to 45 minutes. And then after 35 minutes, this is what I have. A lot of the water has evaporated. So all that I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna be flipping my rice. Now, when flipping your rice, you wanna be very gentle because now that the rice is soft, you don't wanna overdo anything, okay? So just take your time with it when flipping it to make sure that the rice is not breaking apart, because if you do that, it's gonna be mushy and we don't want that. So once I flip all of the rice, I go ahead and cover it up first with my parchment paper, and then I go ahead and cover it up with my foil. The reason why I'm doing this is because I want to continue to retain heat, but I don't want to I don't even know how to put it. Like my stove is gonna be super low, but I still want to retain heat in the rice, right? So I go ahead and I check up on it again after about 20 minutes, and then here I'm gonna go ahead and add my beef. Again, I don't want my beef to be overcooked because remember, it's fried. So that's why it's coming in at the very last minute. I go ahead and I add my beef in here and I give it a nice mix, right? So I'm turning it and flipping it or whatever it is that you want to call it to make sure that, everything is nicely mixed. The beef is going in the right corners of the rice. And then once that's done, I go ahead and I cover it up and I continue to let it cook on super low heat. So after 35 minutes of cooking my jollof rice on super low heat, my jollof rice is done. And so I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys what it's looking like and what the texture is. And as you can see, it's looking really good, right? So this is the texture. Look at that. It's just perfect. As you can see, it's still grainy, but it's also binded together, right? So I say one kakra, I say tare kakra, and it is just perfect. This is how I like my jollof rice. Yempe jollof rice bia bari bia yentimi nye de enchu bia yempe sa jollof rice no. And I feel one to bona uma jollof rice na se shit. Ne wusi ba jollof rice ni ma sa jollof rice no yeni. afei so jollof rice a what say nsuo gu mama na ye mmemme de zebenku sa jollof rice nsusu yeni agona bidi. Cook your jollof rice to your preference. It really doesn't matter. I'm just being, goofy, but cook it to your preference. And, if you like it soft because you have kids, then, make it soft. That's what you prefer, right? But yeah, this is the end of this video, you guys. And I know you're probably wondering, what does the coconut serve in this jollof rice? It simply elevates your jollof rice. The flavors and the coconut milk with all the other ingredients, it just comes together and it's so beautiful. It smells really good and it tastes even better. And so yeah, give this a try, you guys, and I promise you would not regret it. So today I'm just going to be having my jollof rice with some sauteed vegetables. Typically we have a jollof rice with like salad on the side, or you can just simply eat it just like that because it's that good. But today I just chose to have some sauteed vegetables with it. And it is perfect this way as well. So yes, this is the end of this video, you guys. Thank you guys so much for sticking it out with me. I really appreciate every single one of you, and thank you to all my new subscribers. I see you all. I appreciate you all, you guys. Thank you so much. I cannot thank you guys enough. Until next time, I'll see you in my next video.